Welcome to Thriving in the Age of Disruption podcast series, Nisha. I thought that we can start off with you introducing yourself to the listeners.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh, for having me here. I'm really delighted to be speaking about my journey. I'm almost touching the middle age now. I am quite a determined person who values relationships. Now, when I say relationships, when it comes to personal life or business life, both is 101 relationships. The word relationships has to be deeply understood in that sense. In my career, I have pursued different areas. I am a chartered accountant by profession, but I never did accountancy. I never practiced accounting. And then I got into teaching. I did my best and I completed PhD. And after completing PhD, I got into consulting in the field of CSR as well as corporate governance, both. Now, the environment side of it came very late, probably about 2015, 2016, when financial institutions overall started looking at ESG parameters or indicators for ESG investing. So that was when I started looking at ESG in a deeper sense. I'm a mother of two boys and an expat's wife who's always on the move. So enjoying that journey, have learned a lot by living in different countries, different parts of the world.
Lovely. Thank you for that introduction. You started off teaching and then became a consultant. It's interesting when people from academia make the switch to entrepreneurship. I say that an entrepreneurial mindset is whereby you are being resourceful. But the second part where sometimes academics don't make the transition into becoming entrepreneurs is the ability to manage risk and to deal with uncertainty, because in the real world, being an entrepreneur, you're not in a controlled laboratory. You are actually out there, and every action that you take has a direct consequence to your own bottom line. The third piece is true for both academics and entrepreneurs, that you're always trying to create value, whether it's for yourself or for others or society with your research or with the products and services as an entrepreneur. When you look at your own entrepreneurial journey, what do you see?
It's a great question. And while you were describing it from your three angles, I was trying to relate it to my personal life. I belong to a business family. We say entrepreneurs are born. So maybe those innate qualities, essential ingredients was lying inside me and I never realized. The very reason why I chose to become a chartered accountant, when my teachers asked me why you chose to be in commerce, I said I want to do business. So I don't know where that answer came to my mind, but I did not know that. In my life journey, I learned to survive in new environments and to overcome and succeed in those. I did not remain like a housewife or an expat's wife, enjoying life, but continued my career journey. So entrepreneurs are the one who can unlock potential. I feel that after becoming an entrepreneur, I unlocked my own potential. I've become independent, more free, in terms of thinking, in terms of applying my skills, knowledge, and everything. While being as a teacher and academic in the past, I had so many thoughts, but I was never able to apply those. But when I became an entrepreneur, I was like a free bird. I could test it on my own and apply and see the results. An entrepreneurial mindset, in addition to what you said, is that unlocking potential, your own self.
Thank you for creating for us how, as an entrepreneur, you're unlocking your potential. Most entrepreneurs express it in terms of the freedom that they get to determine their own future. And also, number two is to be able to bring into reality what they have conceived as an idea.
Right.
And that is the most thrilling part of being an entrepreneur. So great. The next topic is about crisis and how do you deal with a crisis? I define crisis as a setback. What do you see about how you dealt with crisis?
Yeah, the way to deal with crisis is to be determined. I'm a determined person. Everybody's life has challenges of their own. But in my case, my career was filled with a lot of challenges. When I was doing my accountancy, I got married in between and I had my son in the first year of marriage. So the way I overcame that challenge is to systematically organize and get the resources in place and start studying again. The moment I completed my CA, my husband got transferred and I couldn't work. I mean, I had to move along with him. And the location where we went, I could not pick up a corporate job because there were hardly any big good corporates to work for. So I decided to teach in a central location. I did not want to go to outskirts of the city. So I migrated from accounting career or a banking career to academics. That was a switch. Facing the crisis situation, I dealt with it and I tried to flourish. I did PhD along the way. And then from there, it goes on and on like that. Life has taught me how to deal with those kind of crisis situations, even in the entrepreneurial journey. So basically, clarity of thought, determination, consistency can help anybody to come out of crisis situation.
Very interesting, because you started off the conversation describing yourself as a determined person. And in this particular segment about crisis, you went back to determination as that key trait. Have you been in a situation whereby you think that as a woman, you've had limited access to leadership and decision-making roles? And if so, how did you navigate those difficult situations? Or maybe you didn't have that.
As I mentioned that I come from a business family, so it was very difficult for me to be in a corporate job because of the mindset I was. Yeah, I started my career in Coca-Cola, actually, even before graduating from accountancy. And then I worked in different multinationals from time to time, but challenges as a woman, not being able to move forward or take decision, I'd never faced that. However, I do really feel that women have a different role to play. Even my own expectation from myself would be to take care of the family, parents, children. And I'm not a feminist person, and I don't think that is any kind of challenge or as a restraint. It depends all on the mindset, how you tackle the situation or how you prosper in the situation where you are. So it doesn't depend on the external environment. It depends on your internal, I would say, again, go back to potential. Have resilience, then you will be stronger. You'll come out of that.
So when you describe it as your own potential, you're actually talking about your own mindset, right? In the sense that how do you look at the world? And how do you deal with situation? Because we can't change anything that's happening outside of us. But what we definitely have control over is how we frame all these situations for ourselves.
Right. And we talk about women empowerment all the time, right? So when we talk about these gender biases and all those things, I feel that we should first empower ourselves, whoever, whether it's a male or female. First is empower yourself, and then you can empower others.
That's great advice. Let's now move on to another topic, and that is about spirituality. What is spirituality for you?
And I would connect the few points which you mentioned is one is clarity of thought. Other is putting thoughts into action. If you practice a spiritual life, you will be able to do these two things very well. That your mind will be at calm, you will be able to assess the external environment very well. I don't know if you know him, Sadhguru's written a book on inner engineering is something that we all need to do. Be able to assess the external situation and take appropriate steps and action to deal with the situation. And that's spirituality for me. The thing that has helped me to come out of the crisis situation every time is spirituality, I would say, because that gave me clarity of thought, assessing myself, and then taking an appropriate action to deal with the situation.
So do you have any special practice that helps you to have clarity to self-reflect and assess and then to take the action? Because sometimes things are happening and you're emotional. So how do you get yourself to zoom out?
I meditate, but I don't know whether that's the right way to meditate or anything, but I do meditation in my own terminology. I just close my eyes, listen to some good music with high gigahertz or something. There are plenty of them on YouTube. I just listen to them. That gives me a pause to think, reflect, and assessing the situation, and then finding a right action. So it clears up your energy field, and then you are able to see things, assess the situation, external environment without any pollutants or negative thoughts.
That's great. And so thank you very much for sharing with us your practice of spirituality. Do you think it's possible for us to live a simple life in today's world?
I don't think it is possible, because we are human beings and we do have a social circle. So when it comes to social circle or this materialistic world around us, living a simple life would mean that we become a sage or sannyasi. Gita says that in this world, we need to live a life along with other people. However, living a simple life from mind is very much possible. Living a simple life in terms of social environment is difficult, but in terms of our own thoughts, to be, clear person with clarity of thought, that would come only when you're living a simple life. If you have complexity of thoughts and complexity of feelings for others, then it is very difficult to live a simple life. Then you'll always be competing, greedy, running after people. Or one more thing which I always tell myself is compete with yourself, don't compete with others.
That's right. And I love it that you've created simplicity being power over our internal world. So thank you for sharing that. I also want to ask you, what are the 3 words that you would use to describe the state of thriving?
Thriving is happiness. Second word is confident. If you're not confident, whoever you are with whatever talent, it's very difficult to thrive. And third one is satisfaction.
You're from a business family. Were you ever interested to join the family business? Did you think about that?
The kind of business my family does is different. They are into products. The past career that I had, I've always been in service business. So it's not easy for me. However, I've helped them in between sometimes to give them ideas and how to unlock their working capital, and some kind of consulting I can do for them, but not in the real business.
Right. And what do you think is the challenge for family businesses?
Scaling up is a challenge for family businesses. They find it sometimes difficult to scale up or to grow faster than the professional organization. However, that's also a positive thing, that they don't have uncertainty of losing talent if they have it. But I find it that most family businesses, when they grow, are, let's say, even if they have very good cash flows and they acquire different businesses, if they grow also, then also there's a problem of finding the right people to help them, enable them to sustain that growth.
Yeah, it's interesting that you highlighted this, because my thesis was actually about trust in family businesses. And what I discovered largely was that what makes family businesses unique is the relational trust, which is the priority for them. Whether it is with each other or whether it is with a non-family member, first, I must like you.
Yeah.
And number 2 is cognitive trust. And cognitive trust is more on my competency about did I do what I said I would do and on time. But in normal corporates, if I can't prove myself from a competency point of view immediately, I'm not going to be there even to get to know people and to be liked or to like others. So that is both an advantage and disadvantage for family businesses because of the way in which they form trust and build their network, where relational trust has priority over cognitive trust. So I want to now move on to this topic called sustainability. You're familiar with the space, being involved as early as 2016. Give us a simple definition of what is sustainability.
I was looking for definition. I couldn't find the real one in my own terms. I say that sustainability is sustaining life on earth, air, land, or water, sustaining life on earth overall, and respecting all species. That's sustainability. Today, when we talk about climate change, we mostly talk about humans or our species will not be able to survive. We've started talking about biodiversity as well and how that in turn affects human life. So it's very important to respect and take care of all species who are present on this earth.
So I love the fact that, you've highlighted that there are many definitions of sustainability. And what you have taken on, which is about sustaining life and respecting all species. In our work at Talent Leadership Crucible, as well as more recently Impact Velocity, we've also taken a broader definition of sustainability, the one that Alan Atkinson uses, which is the ongoing thriving of any living system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And so it means that it can be you or me as a living system. It can be a group of people. It can be a community. The key point is what is going to have the ongoing thriving of that living system, right? We also feel that it starts with our mindset. First. How can corporate embrace sustainability, not just as a CSR?
For corporates to determine their sustainability commitments or sustainability initiatives, it's very important for them to evaluate, as you mentioned, right, in the definition itself, the living system, right? So corporates also have their living system. The corporates survive because of input and output of resources. They live in a system of things. The best one that I liked was IIRC, International Integrated Reporting Framework. So in that framework, they talk about 6 capitals, and corporates take in the financial capital, the manufactured capital, which is the other name of assets, then human capital, which is like manpower, social capital in terms of suppliers, customer, society, and government, intellectual capital in terms of R&D and innovation, and then finally the environment capital, where we take natural resources. So all these 6 capitals go inside the corporate and their strategies, objectives, processes, and activities, etc. in the production and the value chain. And the output that comes out is the value that they create. The definition, the IIRC framework says that if any of the capital that you take and the output is negative for any of those 6 capital, then the value is destroyed by the company. And if there's an addition to those 6 capital, the 6 capital, they grow, then corporates create value. So when a corporate has to determine about what should be their sustainability or how they determine their sustainability objective, the key thing is to evaluate or to understand their stakeholders. I published on LinkedIn a blog, an article on stakeholder materiality, why materiality matters and how corporates can evaluate or identify their materiality. So when I say stakeholder materiality, it's about evaluating the risks and opportunities related to each stakeholder. Now, when we say risk and opportunity, it could be a negative impact, it could be a positive impact. If considering this as a system, all the stakeholders and everything, external and internal environment of the organization, considering 6 capitals, it is where after this determination of materiality, corporates can identify what will make them sustainable. Now, here, when I say sustainable, it is in literal sense, which will help them to sustain in the long run. So corporates will be able to sustain in the long run if they take care of their system, which is internal and external system comprising of these 6 capitals.
I really appreciated the way you have created it for us, how to look at the 6 capitals. we are a living system interfacing with different stakeholders. What is the impact on the output from our interaction with the sixth capital? And if there is something which is negative, how we can actually make it positive?
There were news reports about Tesla's ESG rating was reduced, right? They were downgraded. Now, how that happened was that Tesla, being an EV vehicle, in terms of ESG, their environmental scores are very high. But in terms of the employee scores, they were low, right? So when we say human capital means that humans working in the organization should be motivated, should be engaged, should be empowered, so that they become your brand, they become your talking brands, they give value to the organization. I mean, they stay with your organization and work for the organization to create more value overall. So that is human capital. And you asked me for an example that one can be traded off with the other. That is possible. However, corporates have to take care of all the six. If Tesla is taking care of environment, they should also make sure that their human capital is equally taken care of. Last decade, a lot of ready-made garments were manufactured in Bangladesh, in China, in Vietnam. The case of Rana Plaza, for example, is a good case to understand how company can create financial capital or manufactured capital by ignoring the human capital or the supplier, the relationship capital, right? So, I mean, with that relationship capital, a lot of reputation gets affected. The main concept behind IRC is to inform the shareholders that, look, hey, the financial capital has declined because of some other strategies that are in place today, or we are looking at growth, we are looking at manufactured capital, at empowering humans, we are looking at this and other areas. That's why this year we have not been able to report higher profits. That was the initial idea of this report. When I teach sustainability, it really makes sense to look at all those six capital as an overall sustainability point of view. And then this model actually helps converting those in terms of financial numbers.
Yeah. What you're saying is that at some level, Mother Earth and the living, sustaining systems is also our stakeholder. And when corporates are not focusing on their people development or their human capital, it's actually a very big disconnect, because fundamentally it's the people who are going to the job treasure this human capital.
Yes, it's sustaining in the long term. I'm not saying that the corporate should not, or the businesses should not focus on profits. As Milton Friedman mentioned in his theory, organizations will not exist if they don't make profit. And that's true. If there is no profit, you're not creating any value for the external society as well. No economics are created, right? So profits are essential. I'm not denying that fact. And I agree with other people, other researchers as well. However, sustaining in the long run would mean taking care of all the other capitals as well. Right? So that is one key thing. Explaining this to the company. Today, we're talking about a lot of carbon footprint, right? Companies which have huge carbon footprint, like oil and gas industry. If they do not consider this as a fact, or let's take an example of a manufacturing which is highly dependent on coal or other fossil fuels. If they do not change the ways they are doing today, what will happen is that the other capitals, like human capital, the social capital, the relation, and maybe environmental capital, like floods and all, droughts and hurricanes and all those things will come and impact the businesses. If not in one place, maybe in other locations, but that's bound to happen. In accounting is a deferred tax liability. So it's like a deferred sustainability liability. Like if you're not considering this as a loss today or as an expense today, it's going to impact your business tomorrow. That's where the long-term sustainability gets impacted. What happened in terms of many garment industry as well, when they were trying to cut the cost, bringing all the production to the cheaper locations in terms of raw material and labor as well. But then how long can they sustain? There's reputation loss, which happens because of human or manpower exploitation. We're also talking about environmental exploitation with cheap fashion clothing. They're changing the habits of people. I remember my childhood, I had 4 to 5 good dresses, which I used again and again. And I would love those dresses. But then today, I would not say that I am sustainable. My cupboard is also filled with clothes just because it's available. It's the overall culture, how the world lives.
Yeah,
And
we've been corrupted, the consumerism, right?
this consumerism increased because of the international trade, because of the globalization, because of so many other factors, that has changed our habits. So coming to the core again will require habit change. And this will not only happen through corporates, but even individuals have to change. We have to change our mindset, the way we live. So it has to be both top down and bottom up approach. Both sides have to push to achieve this sustainability. If we create this kind of awareness to the corporates that this, hey, you think that it's going to bring some expenses and liabilities today, better to take it today, take a hit and be prepared. Start thinking of remodeling your businesses so that you don't get the hit down the line. So that is why we have that carbon pricing thing in place for climate reporting. We assume a price of carbon and we take it as a liability today so that, corporates are aware that if we don't consider it today, it's going to haunt us tomorrow.
So thank you, Nisha, for being in our podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it and looking forward to doing more work in Vietnam with you.
Dear listeners, if you've been listening and enjoying the Thriving in the Age of Disruption podcast series, as well as our Mastery Effect podcast series, we'll appreciate it very much if you can share with us the topics that are close to your heart so that we can source the relevant experts and change makers and have them be on our show. Do comment below and let us know where you are commenting from and what is it that is of biggest concern to you.